Did you ever rehearse the right answers just to get me off your back?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
What did that look like?
Being fairly robotic.
The coach asked, what's your purpose in life? Jay was like, my purpose in life is to be entertained. My jaw hit the floor. Did you know you weren't really changing?
I think I started to realize that when I was in the middle of my relapse. But when I found the open door, it was with both feet.
Wow.
Welcome to The Couple Cure. Here's Jay and Lori Pyatt.
Hey everyone, welcome to The Couple Cure. I'm Lori.
I'm Jay.
And today there's going to be 11 questions. How did you pretend to change when you really hadn't?
Wow. I think prior to D-Day.
The big one.
Yeah, prior to 2010, the way in which I pretended to change and actually didn't was somehow thinking that sex, pornography, something about that would be a solution at some point. Not necessarily sexual interaction, but something between us would finally cause everything to click. I think one of the ways in which I acted changed and really wasn't was that I was still looking for something outside of me to make me feel complete and trying to kind of manufacture, no, I'm really feeling complete in God when I wasn't.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you just brought up God, so this is going to be one part B. If somebody had asked you back then, are you close to God, what would you have said?
To my understanding at the time, I would have said yes, like reading the Word and going to church. You know, it was all up here. It was a mental thing.
I heard a pastor call those spiritual Olympics.
Right. But if somebody had said to me, have you experienced God? I would have referenced those same events and not the moments of deeper connection when I was by myself. To the best of my knowledge and understanding at the time, I would have said, yeah. If you had asked me certain other questions like, well, how satisfied do you feel if you took away all of these little things? I would have said very unsatisfied.
I think what he's saying is just on your own, sitting in a chair, in your regular day, can you get close to God?
I wouldn't have known how to do that.
Okay. So number 2, what were signs you thought I wanted to see, and how did you perform them without true change?
Definitely a lot of the spiritual Olympics, right? The prayer, the Bible reading, the talking about how certain things impacted me.
I do remember saying, I don't feel like you're very close to God. What do you mean? I read the Bible every day. And he did. And he prayed before dinner. He prayed every night before bedtime. But it was so weird because it was always the same words. It was like, Jay, talk to God from your heart. And he would that night, but then the next night it would be right back to...
Yeah, the kind of rote methodology.
Mm-hmm.
I know there were other performative ways of showing up, trying not to let all of my judgmentalism come out, although that was pretty difficult for me to do at that time.
But specifically what I'm asking about is what were the signs you thought I wanted to see? Or like words from you? Did you adopt recovery language?
Not that I'm aware of. I mean, the Christianese type stuff, for sure. Because at that time, I didn't really have a difference between being more Christian and being in recovery.
Mm-hmm. What do you mean by that?
I wasn't in any kind of recovery program until 2014 with C.U.R.E.
Oh, yeah.
This is such a messed up thing to, I guess, kind of confess to, but I know that like a lot of my prophetic moments at the church that we were going to was just me shooting from the hip about something that had happened. I really wasn't like giving it much thought of how deep is this really, going. Mm-hmm. It's just like, isn't this what you do? You know, it's kind of the fake it till you make it, without thinking, oh, I'm faking it. It was just, okay, this is what we do and this is what we talk about. And somewhere in here, this will somehow get better.
I don't remember you ever adopting recovery words. You did, but you did that with everything. I didn't see that you went out of your way to adopt, like Lundy Bancroft, the Why Does He Do That book that talks about abuse. He says in it, when you have a man who doesn't really want to get healed of mistreating people, and you take him to a lot of recovery type programs and that sort of thing, he just becomes a more eloquent abuser or mistreater, more sophisticated, that's the word. And in a way, I could kind of see that, but it wasn't quite the mission. I think for you, it just happened naturally.
Trying to be a part of the crowd and being an extrovert and picking up on the language within a recovery community or within a church community. I wanted to be part of the in crowd in a lot of those different ways, I think. And so that's where a lot of picking up on the language came from.
Interesting. Yeah, we've never talked about that before. Anyway, question number 3. Did you ever rehearse the right answers just to get me off your back?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
What did that look like?
We talked about this a couple episodes ago of things being fairly robotic. So that was me having the rehearsal of practice how you're going to say it, think about what you're going to say. During that relapse before 2010, there was thought going into what am I going to say about this? So there was some intentionality behind that. But as we talked about a couple episodes ago, my tendency to shoot from the hip more than have some master plan is pretty typical.
You just talked about something, the roboticness. That's one thing I became acutely aware of during the last relapse, 2006 through 2010. He would say the same thing every morning. He would say the same thing every night. His prayers became very rote, very mechanical. And anytime I pressed him for like, can you use different words? He'd get a little uncomfortable. So ladies, if you feel like your husband is settling into rote words, ask him, to have a conversation with you. Jay could not do that back then.
Yeah, everything was keep it all down here. And so having a deeper conversation would have popped the lid off of some of that.
Okay. So question number 4, what actions made you feel proud even though you weren't really changed on the inside?
Reading all the way through the Bible was something I harped on. I had done that several times, and it ultimately hadn't changed me, not significantly anyway. Probably something to do with one of those churchy type interactions. Nothing's popping into my head other than that.
The ones that come to my mind are picking up groceries for me, always asking, hey, can I get you something from the kitchen?
Right. Yeah.
Doing my laundry for me. I remember having to tell him when we were in breakdown mode, stop asking to do things for me, because what you're doing is you're thinking that that's enough.
Right.
So I need you to stop letting yourself off the hook, thinking that doing my laundry for me or getting me something from the grocery store is what I need. I need you to, whatever the issue was at that point.
A few episodes ago, we talked about the armchair approach to meeting needs. I'm going to the grocery store. I'm not going out of my way for you. I'm just grabbing a couple extra items. I'm already going to the kitchen. I'm not doing anything that's asking more of me than I'm already asking of myself.
Armchair meeting of needs is a term we came up with when you will do stuff for me, but it's, you always make sure it's within easy reach of your armchair. You don't want to even have to lean too much. It has to kind of be right around here. You'll do those things. I need you to stretch yourself.
Right.
Number 5, were there any recovery efforts that were just to buy you time?
I don't think so, because before 2006, I was in an accountability group and it was working, and then it shut down. And there wasn't anything else during that big relapse. Prior to that, I did want to jump into something to try to get some traction to change. At that time, none of them really had any sustaining impact. I think I jumped into those efforts trying to gain sobriety. I think because they ultimately were kind of unhelpful or
not within easy reach of the armchair.
Either not within easy reach or, it was nobody really had a clue to say, here's what we're going to do. It was just another churchy feeling thing to do to try to make me better that didn't last.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Number 6, how did you hide the fact that your change wasn't internal yet? Or that the motivation wasn't internal yet?
I wanted something. I definitely wanted it to be easy. I think that might have been a part of the problem was I wanted change to be easy when it's not. Maybe that's the nuance of how I hid things was, yeah, I'm doing the thing, but I'm not really doing anything hard.
Mm-hmm.
Reading the Bible every day and praying every day and doing these things and doing those things. So I think there was this cloud of activity, but none of it was really challenging or coming up against any of my unhealthy thinking. That might have been where it had that sense of hiddenness of like, yeah, I'm doing all this stuff, but none of it's really.
Mm-hmm. If somebody had come along and said, the hard thing to do is to face the discomfort,
Mm-hmm.
whatever the trigger is, and then to cope your way through it.
Right.
If somebody had come along with some really good tools there, like you give to guys now,
Mm-hmm.
what do you think your life would have looked like? Like, say you're back in college when you did get free. You were motivated. You got rid of it. Nobody was asking you to.
Mm-hmm.
You got rid of it. If somebody had come around there shortly after that and said, we have a recovery program. We're going to teach you coping mechanisms. We're going to help you find out your triggers. What do you think your life would have looked like?
I think it would have been much different because not long after that, I wanted to get into martial arts. I wanted to get into certain types of training. If somebody had sat me down and said, we're going to start with your breathing. Mm-hmm. If your brain is overactive, do this breathing technique. It only takes 3 breaths. You'll notice a significant change in your anxiety level, your stimulation level, your excitement level. And they had sat there and worked with me to do it. Things would have been a lot different, because I would have been able to have what felt overwhelming to me at the time and be able to sit in it, be able to navigate it a little bit and have somebody say, okay, let's come back. You felt a little bit. Let's come back. Let's feel a little more. Let's come back. Let's feel a little more.
You're surviving. You're doing great. Yeah.
Someone to do more of those kind of exercises in a way that you never have before. And here's how you do it. As opposed to just connect with God. Well, how do you do that? Prayer, Bible reading, worship, go to church, all the typical things.
For a lot of people, that isn't enough to go deep inside of them. Besides the porn, what were you secretly unwilling to give up, even as you claimed transformation? I'm thinking in terms of like your image, general entertainment, not being expected to work too hard.
I would say that pleasure-seeking piece of me is and still can be the problem, right? Whether
like
it's
the lover of pleasure.
Yeah. If 1 package of Oreos is good, 2 is better. The video gaming, television, the movies. We went to so many movies that were terrible just because I wanted to go to the movies. Part of me was like, why should I let go of that? If I can feel good, why wouldn't I do that?
Yeah.
The reality is it's not going to last.
Yeah.
I'm not going to feel satisfied long term, no matter how many calories I consume or television I watch or video games I play or how much status I achieve, whatever it was going to be.
You brought up entertainment. We had worked with a coach, and early on, the coach asked, what's your purpose in life? I was like, this is my purpose in life. And Jay was like, my purpose in life is to be entertained. My jaw hit the floor. Even this coach was like, no, I mean, like, what's your purpose? My purpose in life is to be entertained. There was so much entitlement in that. Thank goodness Jay had gone to an experiential retreat and came home saying, if I ever act entitled, let me know. And it was after that, I was like, Jay, that seemed like a very entitled thing. Even I don't know what you call it, 8-bit type game on his dumb phone, which was just really, really basic. And I noticed that his impatience started increasing. I started seeing glimpses of old Jay. And he went from, I can just sit here and be, to, no, I have to distract myself. It was surprising to me how quickly that set in. It wasn't right away, but it was after maybe 3 weeks.
I was talking with my mentor, and he said something from his mentor, which was, we can still get sick. Guys relapse after 30, 40 years because they forget we can still get sick.
Okay, number 8. Did pretending to change ever become more exhausting than truly changing?
We had talked about this in 2006 to 2010, the big relapse. Just got tired of it. I just wanted to be done. It was so many plates spinning, trying to look different when I wasn't. Since 2010, there have been some things that I picked up that I was like, at first it was good for my recovery. Then I kept doing it. And I believe it helped me change. But some of those things, it was like, okay, if I keep doing this, it's really, I'm just going through the motions. I'm checking a box. So I need to let that go and find something new to replace it. This is recovery 101. I need to move on to recovery 201 or 301. You know, I need to start graduating into new tools and new challenges.
Interesting. Do you think it was another level, another devil, and you needed a new, like you had graduated up into a different plane?
I think it was. If I'm going to uncover things in my life, I can start with a shovel, but at some point I need to get a backhoe. It's going from a hammer to a nail gun. It's, you know.
8B is what dirt needed the backhoe?
I think the biggest one, and the one that I resisted you on the most, was that I really knew God. You know, I could quote stuff and I could remember certain parts, but not the experiences that I've had since then by being willing to say, Laurie, you've been right. I really did not know God in a meaningful way before. And that took a backhoe.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's something you help guys with, right?
Yeah.
Number 9, did you know you weren't really changing?
I think I started to realize that when I was in the middle of my relapse. Definitely a lot of triggers that went along with that relapse. But when I found the open door, it was with both feet.
Wow.
I mean, it wasn't like I hesitated. And it may have been that certain things fell off and fell off and fell off and fell off. And then this moment happened.
I would have thought something would have gotten better, like over the years. Like, surely I've changed a little bit. And then to find out, nope, not really. You're still back into the same stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 10, did you ever try to convince yourself you were changing just to avoid guilt?
All the time.
What did that look like?
We had someone tell me that video games were mood altering. It took me 4 years to agree with them.
There's a backstory here. We were kind of at one of the lowest points in our marriage ever. Video games, I felt like were part of it because, again, it was just this, you know, it's never enough, it's never enough. And he did use them to avoid real life and real growth. And we went to
A neuroscientist.
Yeah. And Jay said, okay, if they say that it's a problem, then I'll back off. And we went there. They said it could be mood altering. I said, okay, Jay, they said it could be mood altering. What are you going to do with that? Well, and this is where I knew his running buddy was high quality. Jay told me a day or two after, me and running buddy went out. We went running and I told him the situation. I was like, what did your running buddy say? His running buddy said, Jay, you told her you would take it seriously. And I was like, ooh, I like that guy. Thank you, guy.
I chuckle now in discomfort of being that arrogant about it. That whole conversation with the coach of my purpose in life is to be entertained. When I look at my history, that's been my primary thing. I'm going to find a way to be entertained. Giving any of that up felt like, why would I? That was one of many places in which I was way off base and didn't want to change despite knowing that it was something limiting me.
In the last few, maybe 4 or 5 videos ago, I said, I wish you would have just been able to say, you know, take off the mask and go, okay, Laurie, this is a tactic. This question kind of goes along with it. Question 11. If you had to be completely honest back then, what would you have said knowing you weren't walking it out? Like if somebody had said, Jay, you and I both know you're not changing at a deep level. We both know you're not very close to God. Talk about that.
It would really depend on the person because I think you were saying that to me and it led to more resistance.
Say it's your favorite mentor.
So if he had been coming from the standpoint of, man, you're right on the edge of something, but what you're doing and how you're doing it, you've plateaued, you've something, and I want to get you further, and I'm going to walk with you through that. I would have been like, yeah, I feel stuck. I feel like on the one hand, I'm supposed to do this Christian stuff that isn't working, and on the other hand, I'm entertaining myself and thinking if I just keep entertaining myself with food, if I just keep entertaining myself with stuff, I'll feel better. If somebody had kind of helped me like identify, you're looking for something out there to make you feel whole, and that's not ever going to work.
And then been able to lead you through that.
And been able to do it without just a go figure it out, which has been the way many times it is felt in so many different environments. Well, do all the stuff that I did and do their things, and I'm like, that didn't work.
Yeah.
That is something that I really kind of needed, was someone to engage with me and not just say you're not getting there, but I can see where you are and I know where I want to get you, and I'm going to help you do that. And that for me is where I try to help guys, is like, I get that you're trying.
Try this.
Yeah, try this. Put your effort here. Drop all that other crap. Like I was saying earlier, I'm sitting here with a shovel and it's like, dude, you're in the Grand Canyon. This shovel isn't going to get you very far. But some of us hold on to those things. And the Alcoholics Anonymous big book says our efforts are nil until we let go of old ideas absolutely. Meaning, as long as you hold on to any old idea that doing it this way is going to work, or seeking this thing is going to make me whole, you're not going to get anywhere.
Okay.
All
right. All right. My questions for you, answer in the comments. Ladies, what part of the addict's healing felt like a performance? And for both of y'all, what would real change have looked like to you? Both the addicts, what it would look like for you to really change if you had relapsed before. And also partners, what would his real change would have looked like? What would have his real change look like? All right, guys. So we will see you next time. Oh, next time we will be covering... I don't even know if I want to tell you this because I don't shake them so you can't hear me. So the next time we will cover what beliefs did you have about me that kept you from stopping. So, okay. See y'all next time.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.